Just in terms of from an investment perspective, sort of turning to Giedrius and Scott here, you both being investors in the market. I mean, how have you found there to be any barriers to entry and any sort of potential challenges when operating in that?
Well, from my point of view, I don't think there are really barriers to entry. I mean, the infrastructure itself, I mean, starting for the banks, lawyers, notaries, whatnot, is again not central London. So this we need to keep in mind. Other than that, there is, I think, again, some of the laws are not efficient. Sometimes you can double read them, triple read, you know, depending on how talented our lawyers. I mean, but overall, in the deals and in the kind of whenever we were dealing with both private and government entities, there was always a big support and openness to resolve the issues. So even if the law is not ideal and the infrastructure is not ideal, I mean, there is, at least from my experience, I mean, there is the overall mood in the country supportive, which is a big difference to in many other countries in basically former Soviet Union, we should say, and a huge difference from what the country was. I mean, I left the country in, I mean, we were investing there. I left the country in 2000 or 2001, and the current climate, like post changes in the overall mood is huge. I mean, the overall business supportive mood, not always efficiently with problems, but is there. So I think there is an openness of the government and of the local structures to support it. And the good news is that the power distance in Uzbekistan, while it exists, is not that huge, and you can really address top officials with your problems, and they're responsive. So I mean, that's again coming. Coming in that sense. I hope Scott shares similar views, assuming he's there. I mean, he should like it.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and let's just say things can be more efficient, but it's moving in the direction of becoming more efficient. So in terms of, you know, impediments to operating there are no foreign ownership restrictions, really, in terms of industry specific. You can invest anywhere, but it's just, again, there's a lot of bureaucracy, which the government, so is my understanding, knows needs to be resolved, but it's a capacity issue. You speak with people higher up in government, and they know where the country's heading, and that they need to take it in, you know, let's say, to move it forward. The problem is that things are changing so quickly in the country, and arguably, you know, perhaps slowing it down a bit from the first, you know, kickoff a few years ago. But nonetheless, you're going from a closed country where it was, you know, call it North Korea #2, to now a free market, and arguably, I think, one of the freer countries in Asia, certainly to do business as well as to live there. And work there. So the change has been truly dramatic, and not many countries can pull off a complete 180 in, you know, a half a decade. But capacity, no doubt, is an issue where, you know, depending on the ministry, you know, the ministers understand what needs to be done, but it's a matter of having the bureaucracy under them be able to execute, which just takes time. You look at Vietnam; it took, you know, 15 years. After Doi Moi to really get going. Uzbekistan's done it much quicker. So, yeah.
Thanks, Scott. And one of the themes that you touched on was the loosening of controls over a lot of to access the market over the last few years. I just defer to one of the questions which we were asked a few minutes ago about buying real estate in Uzbekistan. And Aziz, I was wondering if you could perhaps touch on this and how it's possible to buy real estate now in Uzbekistan, which previously it was more difficult for foreigners to do so.
Yeah, Thank you for question. I also answered in a message to this question. There is a decree of a president dated from April 8